If your goal is to do this, then keep watching. Hey guys, my name is Zach Ferguson, and this channel is all about helping you guys reach your tricking goals. I may not be the best tricker, but hopefully my experience can help you guys become the best. This is a tutorial for a Touchdown Raiz. Touchdown Raiz is one of the, if not the most iconic trick in tricking. Whenever you see someone do a Touchdown Raiz, you know immediately that they're either a tricker or a free runner or have learned from a tricker. It's just as versatile as a scoot with more power than a scoot and is used mainly for swing throughs, but can be used for vanish and pops and all kinds of other stuff. You can do pretty much anything out of a Touchdown Raiz. Because of its popularity, versatility, and power, beginners want to get this trick immediately when they start tricking, but it has a steep learning curve and can cause a lot of injury if you don't learn it properly. So in this tutorial, I'm going to teach you the way that I think is the most useful or the most beneficial, which is doing a Raiz and slowly just turning that into a Touchdown Raiz. That's what I think is the safest. However, since that's only gonna take like 2 seconds and this is YouTube, so I have to be a little creative, I'm gonna teach you how to take your hook kick and turn it into a Touchdown Raiz. So let's get started with the quick tutorial. So, what is a Touchdown Raiz? A Touchdown Raiz is simply a Raiz where you touch your left hand down if you twist to your left, right hand down if you twist to your right. You can also think of it as a Gumby where you miss the first hand and touch the second hand. But those are the tricks that it's the most similar to and the way that I can articulate it best to you. If we're talking literally, it's a step backwards or sideways into a forward step with a back kick with your left leg, where we then twist and turn backwards and do a one-handed back handspring, where we then land on our left foot first and our right foot second if we twist to our left. So for this, I implore you to at least have a Raiz. If you have a Raiz, then Touchdown Raiz is going to be cake for you. But for the first method, we're going to do what I believe is the most safe and easiest progression that may take a little bit longer, but will allow you to learn it faster overall and lead to less injury. And that's taking a Raiz and turning it into a Touchdown Raiz. So I have a Raiz tutorial. Hopefully you already have your Raiz. If not, you can go learn it really quick. I have all the progressions up to Raiz and now Touchdown Raiz, so that way you have no excuse for not learning the progressions up to this point. But honestly, all you have to do is a Raiz, spot the ground, and touch your left hand on the ground, and you've got a Touchdown Raiz. How I'd recommend approaching this if you're going from Raiz to Touchdown Raiz is to focus on spotting, like I just said. Keep your eyes on the ground the whole time you're doing a Raiz, and then try to kind of just lightly high-five the ground with 2 hands or just your left hand if you feel comfortable, and try to land in an eagle position anytime you're doing a Touchdown Raiz progression. So that's left foot before right foot with an arch in your back and your right leg backwards, like you're ready to swing through. The reason I say 2 hands is because a lot of times when people are trying to learn this method, what happens is they twist too much on their Raiz and they kind of let their hips come together and they aren't doing their eagle position the whole way through, and that causes them to twist and then either roll or slam their right leg into the ground really hard. So make sure you're careful of that and make sure you are trying to do a far Raiz. You're trying to go out forward when you take that big step, and then that will allow you to kind of put more weight on your hand, but you don't want to put too much weight on your hand, so you still want to go kind of high at this point. Once you're comfortable doing a rise, spotting the ground, and aiming and touching with 1 or 2 hands, then what you want to do is start making it, like I said, a little bit longer and a little bit lower. To be honest, that's really it. Just keep doing this over and over again until it's long. Try to put weight on that hand, but you don't want to hurt your wrist, so you want to do it very lightly over time. Do not try to go too low. What I would recommend is just try and make it farther and farther, because that's going to make you lower, because you can't go really high while also trying to go out really far, and it'll stop you from trying to smash yourself into the ground and hurt your wrist or something. So just try to get farther and farther, and this will allow you to get lower but also keep good form, because you're going to want to go really far out, especially at the beginning when you're learning your touchdown rise, for power. When you get better at it, you can learn how to just do it in place like people like Zen and Shosei do, but for now, just try to go really far with your touchdown rise. And that's really it for method 1. I knew this was going to be short, but that's why I made a bunch of other videos with the progressions up to this point. So you should probably go Gorilla, Gumby, Sailor Moon, Rise, Touchdown Rise. However, you may not need all of those progressions. If you already have a rise, do your touchdown rise. If you don't have a rise yet, you don't have to start with Gumby. I would recommend maybe starting with Sailor Moon and then Rise and then touchdown rise, but it's completely up to you. And for the second method and the title of this video, I'm going to teach you how to turn your hook kick into a touchdown rise. So I don't have a hook kick tutorial yet, but again, like I always say, once I make it, I will go back and I'll link it. So if you see a card for it, you can go ahead and watch that right now and then come back to this video, because I'm not going to teach how to do a hook in this video. So start with your hook kick. Ideally a spin hook. If you don't have a spin hook yet, go learn it, come back. But we're doing spin hook over and over again, loosening our hips and spotting our target. It's important to know where your target is on this, because again, you're gonna need to know where your dom or direction of momentum is compared to your target. This helps with comboing, and it also helps with understanding where your momentum is going for this method to turn it into a touchdown rise. So once you've drilled your hook kicks for a while, what I want you guys to do is stop in the middle with your chamber. So you're gonna do your hook kick, hit your target, stop, and then I want you to jump and land on your hook kicking leg. In this case, it's gonna be my left leg. Once you can do a hook kick, stop, and jump to the leg, you're gonna try and spin around and eagle, so you're going to turn back around so that your momentum is to your back. Practice this until you can do a hook kick and then jump and turn around into a pretty solid eagle before we move on. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take out the eagle position for a second, and we're going to do a wheel kick, compasso, or a touchdown hook, whatever you wanna call it. We're going to do this over and over again until it's very fluid and you can kick your target. So for this move, make sure that you know where your target is. You step over as if you were going to do a spin hook, but step over a little bit farther this time so that you've kind of done like a 180-degree step so that you're in line with your 2 feet and your back is facing your target. Plant your hand and then hook kick at your target by spotting down your body and kicking. Once you got that down and you can put a lot of power into that without falling down, then what you want to do is do the same thing that we did on the other step. You're going to do your hook kick, stop, and then you're going to jump and turn around, face that way with your eagle so that you are falling backwards with your momentum, and you literally feel like you're falling backwards when you land. Once you got that down, you can make one of these 2 methods fluid. You can either go back to the hook kick and make that fluid, or you can just stay on this one and make that fluid. But if you make it fluid, then you're essentially doing a Sailor Moon. So from here, what you want to do is you want to try and get your chest down a little bit more. So you're stepping across, planting that hand, and you want to step a little more forward in your direction of momentum than you were before. Basically, you're going to be doing like a bad form hook kick now. So you're kicking more towards the ceiling than you are towards your target. What this is going to do is make you invert more, but keep the power that you had from the first one. It's going to be less sideways and a little bit harder to land, so make sure you kick really, really hard. And it's also going to stop looking more like a hook kick, especially when you slow-mo it. It's going to look more like your knee is driving, but just make sure you kick backwards for that hook kick towards the ceiling, and then turn your hip around so that you face the other direction and you land an eagle the same way we did before. If you have a line like we had on our other methods, you can totally use that to help you understand your direction of momentum. But for this, what I've already recorded, I didn't use the line. I just went sideways. This part may take a while. If you're stuck, you can always watch my Sailor Moon tutorial. But if you feel confident and you feel like you have a really good Sailor Moon now, then let's move on. From here, you're just doing a rise. So what I want you to do is take away that first hand, but keep your chest relatively low and kick even harder than you did before. If you were kicking like semi-hard on the last method, then you're gonna need to kick extremely hard on this one. On this method, what I want you to do is drop your chest, but not too far. You only wanna put it down maybe waist height, or else you're not gonna land the trick. So as soon as you kick backwards, turn your chest to the sky as hard as you can, spot the ground, and then eagle literally the whole time after that. A rise is essentially a backwards kick and then a giant eagle the entire time. You'll know you're doing a rise properly if you are spotting the ground the entire time. Sometimes you'll have a slight blind spot where you have to kind of twist and turn around, but ideally you see the ground for, at least on the back end, a long time. You want to be able to see the ground for a long time before you try to alter it in any way. You honestly might want to be able to swing through or do something out of your rise before you try and turn it into a touchdown rise, because of the reason that I said on the last method. Some people tend to close their hips like this when you should be kicking backwards like this. It should be more of a front split than it should be a side split, and a lot of times people's side splits just come together really fast and it forces them to twist because their legs are coming together. So if that's happening to you, it's probably because of that. So like I said, hold a big eagle. Once you got that rise, then all you gotta do now is put your hand down like I said on the last method. Essentially, they're the same method, but I chose hook kick because most of the time the error that I see in power for touchdown rise is that people don't kick backwards before they do their turn. So they twist and fall sideways, or they don't have any power for swinging through. So what you wanna do is you want to kick backwards for your rise until your foot is straight up in the air, pointing upwards to the ceiling. Then spot the ground backwards and then reach backwards like this. Even I tend to do this when I start, but if you notice, my shoulder rotates closer to my head by the time I land. If you land like this, it's going to be hard to do your touchdown rise because your momentum is going to be coming down sideways like this. What you want to do is have your arm here so that when you're coming down, it's a straight line and you can stand up with your body, like I was saying on my scoot tutorial and macaco tutorial. Just like on the last method, make sure you go out farther and farther, try to cover distance with your touchdown rise, because if you don't, you're gonna land in the same place and your body is most likely going to fold over itself and you won't have any ability to use your touchdown rise. You'll be doing a touchdown rise, but it won't be swingable or usable in any way. The most common mistakes I see are that you are turning sideways. That can either be from you kicking sideways with your leg, actually physically kicking it out like this. That is not what you want to do. You want to kick backwards like this, just like you're doing a hook kick, but towards the ceiling, and then you're going to rotate straight up and over yourself, and then when you go over yourself, you're gonna turn and you're gonna reach. Once you get comfortable with it, make sure you're slinging that arm. You really wanna use your upper body, because if you use only your lower body, then what's gonna happen is you're gonna go too high every single time. You're gonna come down hard on your wrist, and you're gonna think that you're not kicking hard enough or going fast enough. It's really an upper body and a lower body connection for this trick. You have to be very coordinated, and you have to do it at the same time for this to work, and that's why it's got such a steep learning curve, because you have to be like kind of perfect to get this right without hurting yourself at the beginning. The other common mistake I've already mentioned, it's just doing a side split instead of a front split. Make sure that your right leg is as far behind you as possible when you are landing your touchdown rise. Usually people get the beginning really solid and they do that hook kick motion towards the ceiling and then they turn around, but then when they land, they kind of relax their hips and they start to fall closer together with their legs. When you are landing, you want to hold that eagle as hard as possible. Do it to where you're landing and then you're kind of being thrown backwards, and then at that point you use it for a vanish or swing or pop or whatever you want to do. But make sure that you are coming down as one unit where your leg is still up while your left leg is touching, and then your chest comes up before your right leg comes down, and then you swing or do whatever. And the third most common mistake I see is that people are just going too low. It's absolutely possible to learn this by just twisting yourself around really fast, but those people I see doing that tend to hurt their wrists a lot because they're just slinging their wrists into the ground as hard as possible, and then they wonder why they're getting injured. But essentially this builds a habit of going too low in their touchdown rise. It jams up your wrist, it makes it harder for you to swing over time. It will turn into a touchdown rise eventually, but mainly the sideways low position comes from throwing your arm sideways rather than over the top. Again, even if you swing it here and then you right yourself to here by the end, then that's a good touchdown rise. There's really like 1,000 ways I could teach you a touchdown rise. I will probably go over different ones in the future, but this is the way that I think is the safest. And again, here in North Carolina, we still quarantine. So I'm assuming that you are going to learn this on grass or something without equipment. My biggest tip for making your touchdown rise usable is going really far, like I was saying. Make sure you're reaching out forward, you're leaning forward with your chest, you're kicking back as hard as you can, and you're trying to cover distance as much as you can. This makes it to where you are falling backwards aggressively when you land if you're holding your eagle, and then the swing or the pop will kind of happen for you as you stand up, and then you can focus on whatever you were gonna do. You don't wanna be focusing on your touchdown rise if you're trying to use your touchdown rise, if that makes sense. It's like driving a car. If you're driving a car, you just wanna think, go that way, and you turn your wheel, or, oh, there's a car in front of me, so I stop. You don't wanna think, all right, move my arms so that the wheel turns, and then I press on the gas so that my car moves in this direction, and then, oh no, there is an obstacle. So now I am touching the brake with my foot and pressing it down with my metatarsals, and you know what I'm saying? So essentially you want to practice it so much that it's just second nature, and it's just a setup, like a lot of people say, before you try and use it. So that's honestly what I would recommend for your touchdown rise. If you learn a touchdown rise, but you can't use your touchdown rise, it's probably because you haven't critiqued it enough and practiced it enough. This is one of those tricks that I struggle with personally, because I'll get it and I'll train it for a while, and then I'm just like, man, I'll do other setups, or, oh, my wrist hurts today, I'm not gonna do touchdown rise, and I honestly neglect it too much, so that every time I go back, I have to kind of not relearn it, but relearn how to optimize it before I can actually use it for something. But I definitely say that this is a trick that is worth it. Touchdown rise is so freaking cool, and you can use it in so many different ways, and it's a mainstream trick, but it's a mainstream trick for a reason. It's one of the coolest tricks. So get your touchdown rise. These are the two ways that I think you should get it. Really, they're the same way, but I wanted to teach you from a hook kick, so that way you got like a real standard, like first level trick that you can turn all the way into a touchdown rise just in this video. If this video helped you, or if you liked it, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to my channel to help me on my quest to 1,000 subs. And until next time, please stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you later.